I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Barons win! Barons win!
Cody Jansen stopped 92 out of 95 shots, including a penalty shot in overtime. Somehow he still only wound up the third star of the game.
You like that?
Jansen has a heart.
You're smoking crack!
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a World Junior Preview Edition, Part 2, here on World Hockey Report. Yes, hello, I am back, the insider to the insiders, Tyler Kuehl, here inside the Pro Rock Studios. Oh my goodness, guys. First of all, so good to be back. So glad to join you. And so glad to talk about the World Juniors once again. Now, yes, I know. We did this before. We did this back in December. We tried to get all excited for a tournament that was going to feature players like Owen Power, Uri Slafkovsky, and Kent Johnson, and Shane Wright, all these great players. Well, guess what, kids? Well, things happen, stuff and things. So, yeah, couldn't quite keep it clean. Kind of had COVID get a problem with it, but that's okay, because today's program we're going to have a lot of great people joining us here. And by that, I mean we have Alex Micheletti, hockey commentator from the great state of Minnesota, going to join us in the bottom of the first hour. Only going to plan for about 90 minutes today. We're going to try to keep it under 2 hours. I say that because I actually did another World Junior preview. So back in December, about a week before it started, myself and another guy, and I think we got it done in. Oh gosh, did it take us I think it took us 2 hours, and it was supposed to be only an hour-long show. So that's okay, though. That's why we can, we got a little bit of freedom here today, and that's great because you can jump in the chat and get your questions answered. We'll get the poll that we had later today on the show at World Hockey RPT. We asked you who you think is going to win. A lot of favoritism towards Canada, and then again, I mean, I kind of expect that because, hello, we are a Canadian-based hockey show. And right now, I think we had over 50%, if I'm not mistaken, is where we are standing for the voting right now. Let me just make sure before we get. Yep. 51.5% say Canada, 36.9% say the Americans, 9.2% say Finland, 2.3% say other. Unfortunately, whoever voted for other never specified. They never specified who it was. So, yeah, go ahead and jump on in the chat, guys, because we can get your questions answered. We're also going to get in some news here in a moment because we got a little bit of time here. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened on this Monday. The Boston Bruins, by the way, just getting after it. They had their morning coffee. They had their Dunkin' Donuts. I mean, it's not real coffee, Dunkin' Donuts, but they had a lot of that sugary stuff along with those frosted, sprinkly, jelly, cream-filled, whatever McCall they make at Dunkin' Donuts. They had all those. So with that, we'll get to all those and more. Like I said, be sure to follow us at World Hockey RPT. And if you want, you can follow me, the Inside of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29. You see it right there on the bottom. Hello, Donnell Weaver, jumping into the chat. What is up? What is up with you, good sir? Hopefully you are doing well in your neck of the woods. Right now in West Michigan, it's been off and on raining today. So it's been a perfect day to sit down, have a cup of tea. Or if you're like me, who had to pull the morning shift at work today, 6 cups of coffee. So that's where I'm standing right now. Good to have you, Donnell. Jumping in the chat there. Be sure, like I said, guys, be like Donnell. Jump on in there because we got World Juniors to talk about. And we are going to talk a little bit about today as well. A little bit of an update with Hockey Canada and what's going on there. I know some of you are probably thinking, Tyler, where's your Canada sweater? I'm like, yeah, I do have one. It was the early 2000s ones, the one they wore in Salt Lake and not the main sweater World Cup of Hockey because they had 7 and 04, but I have one of those. But I'm just not going to wear the Hockey Canada emblem anymore. I can't get myself to do it, which is why it's going to be interesting to talk with Alex and talk with a couple other people too in regards on how people feel about cheering for Canada. And like I said, we'll get to that later on here as well. We'll talk about what happened at the Alinka Gretzky Cup. Canada winning that one, maybe a little bit of a precursor. Way to go. Donnell just dropped one of the signings in the chat. We'll discuss that here in a little bit as well. But guys, I got to remind you, make sure we're in the Pro Rock Studios. Let me tell you about Pro Rock Hockey Sticks. They're the best. Simply put, they're better than the top-of-the-line brands at fractions of the cost as well. Lighter, more balanced, and fully customizable. Check out for yourself today at prorock.com. Dylan Kaiser jumping in the chat there. Go Canada. Yes, go Canada. We can say that. Just don't put the word hockey in front of it. We'll tell you. Well, like I said, we'll get into it. We'll talk. Got plenty of time today here on this Monday afternoon. Thank you all for joining us here at WHR World Hockey Report. Be sure to follow us. You guys can follow us Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, TikTok too. I know we don't say it much, but TikTok, you can follow us there. Like I said, Alex Micheletti joining us here at the bottom of hour number 1. Danelle Weaver saying "Go USA." Well, they put the two teams in separate groups for a reason. They wanted to be maybe a little more balanced and maybe definitely setting up a matchup in the medal rounds. Let's talk about the big signings of the day. All right. Boston, holy moly, guacamole, getting after it hard. They sign Patrice Bergeron, bringing back their captain, 1 year at $2.5 million, with the potential of $2.5 million being involved in, or performance bonuses being involved for the captain. Hey, let's our good boy Adam Bonilla down there getting ready for the Arizona Coyotes season. Glad you guys are back. Glad to see you back too, Adam. I hope you're doing well down there, friend. David Krejci also, that's the other big signing. He's returning, coming back from Czechia after not playing in the National League last year, the National Hockey League last year, that is. He comes back for 1 year, $1 million with a potential of $2 million in signing bonuses. So clearly this is a maneuver by Don Sweeney to just kind of focus on, hey, let's, if these guys play well, great, we'll pay them money. But let's not pay everyone big money because then we can maybe fill some gaps. Because with that, they were able to use some leftover cash, some spending money to get Pavel Zacha away from the New Jersey Devils. 1 year at $3.5 million there. Add a little bit more depth, a little bit more veteran experience. And I'll be honest, guys, the Boston Bruins are there. We all thought, in this offseason, like, my goodness, they may finish 5th. I mean, you have Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Detroit's doing things. You think Buffalo, the way they ended last year, they could probably build off that. Who knows with Ottawa and all this stuff? They got a better goaltender now, and they have a couple pieces signed there. They might be better. We're looking at Boston at number 5 in the Atlantic Division. All of a sudden, they, kind of bring in some, returning faces. And David Krejci, who is one of those guys that might give you 30 to 40 points in a season. But all of a sudden, playoffs come around, April comes around, they're just snapping the fingers, and boom, David Krejci has 25 points. That's just how it works for him. Some reason, somehow. I tell you what, man. Dylan's jumping in there with the Hockey Canada chat. We'll get to that in a minute, like I said here, Dill. But I tell you what, guys, the Boston Bruins all of a sudden are like, they're just a little scary. I don't like scary with the Boston Bruins. Coming from a guy who's watched them torment the Leafs for a good chunk of my life, let alone even those game 7s. I'm talking even before that when 2011, 2012, when Boston went 6-0 against Toronto. Like, that was not a fun time to be alive and be a Leafs fan. So I tell you what, guys, it's going to be an interesting team this year. I know obviously it seems like it's going to be Swayman to maybe be the number 1 guy this year. We'll just have to wait and see. But Boston making some moves today. The big sign, though, in the past week, though, that is the extension that's going to kick in not this season, but next season. Jonathan Huberdeau, the new Johnny Hockey. No, not the new Johnny Hockey. Extension signing 8 by $10.5 million with the Calgary Flames. That was the big concern when he got traded to Calgary. Yes, you got 1 year at 5.9 of Jonathan Huberdeau and a pretty fair deal of Mackenzie Weegar. Now, yes, Mackenzie Weegar is still up in the air with his extension. However, locking in last year's MVP for the Florida Panthers and a guy that was receiving quite a bit of Hart Trophy conversation as well, I will tell you what, that was a very, very big move for the Flames and Brad Treliving because they know they need a guy for the long term. And I know it's a little interesting because they signed him for 8 years at $10.5 million. I think this is because Huberdeau is older than Matthew Tkachuk. And now they have to just say, like, you know what, this could be the 8 years that we have at him, and it's going to be, this is it. This is the window now with him because, people can say he's already hit his peak. I mean, I remember when this guy was winning Memorial Cups with St. John's back in, 2011? Yeah, 2011 with, remember Tomas Jurko, that team with Gerard Gallant at the helm? So I like this move by Calgary because it locks up someone, a big name player, a guy that can, I still think, make an impact and maybe not totally fill the gap that Johnny Hockey and Matthew Tkachuk filled, but, for $10.5 million instead of paying what would have been for the two of the guys, almost $20 million over two of them, I mean, between Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, what they signed with their respective teams, that's not bad. Yeah, I know. Tkachuk signed with Calgary before he got traded, I know. But you get my drift. You're paying less for one player, a lot less than you would be for two guys. And one of them didn't even play well in the playoffs. Actually, both really didn't. Matthew Tkachuk nor Johnny Gaudreau were good in the playoffs. So some good signings there. Mason Appleton and the Winnipeg Jets avoid arbitration. 3 years at $2.16666667 with the Winnipeg Jets. Yakov Trenin also with the Nashville Predators at 2 years at $1.7 million. The one comment that I did see, where let me make sure I get it on there because it was kind enough to throw it on there. Where are we at here? Yes, Dano Weaver putting it out there for all of us. Miles Wood and Jesper Bratt both signing 1-year deals. Miles Wood going for 1 year at $3.2 million. Jesper Bratt, $5.45 million. You see it there on the screen, or if you're listening on the podcast form. Devils signed Bratt and Wood to 1-year deals. Guess they got to prove themselves again, and there's rumors that the Islanders might trade Barzal, which would be really, really stupid. I agree, Danelle. Getting rid of Matthew Barzal after one bad year of the Islanders, but then again, Barry Trotz was fired after one bad year. You know, I mean, Jesper Bratt's a really good young player, and I think the Devils, if they just get a goaltender, right? If they get saves, that's their biggest problem, you know, and it looks like they might be able to turn the corner here with Vitek Vanacek. I don't know. And if Mackenzie Blackwood finally can mature into the goaltender that we thought all those years ago coming out of juniors we expected of him, I think the Devils can be a solid team. Because the Metro this year, I feel like it's a toss-up, right? You know, who knows with the Capitals? I mean, yeah, they got Darcy Kemper, but that's Darcy Kemper, a goaltender in a new system. You have the Philadelphia Flyers, who, if there's a team that should stink, it might be the Flyers. But who knows? Carter Hart may be like Carter Hart from his rookie season, play amazing, and, you know, bring the team to the second round of the playoffs. There's a good chance that might happen. The Rangers, if Shesterkin gets hurt, they're screwed. But once again, if Shesterkin plays Vezina Shesterkin, then they'll be okay. And the Devils find themselves in a spot, and the Islanders as well, that if they get, you know, the good goaltending, which if the defensive system, the Islanders kind of comes back to fruition and they play well, I really think that they should be able to figure that out and have a better result. Because remember, I picked them to finish in the top of the Metro before last season, and was sorely mistaken. So I'm going to watch what I'm going to say about that before we get to going on the season in the Metro, because it's going to be a little crazy indeed. A couple other signings as well. Kai Yamamoto avoiding arbitration, 2 years at $3.1 million. That's really it for the most part involved in the sign, at least the big ones. There's obviously some other ones. Mario Ferraro signing with the San Jose Sharks, that being another. So a lot still going on here in this offseason. Everyone working well into August, which I'm sure makes everyone just so happy, because I don't know. It's so weird. It's, you know, the fact that, yes, we're about to do our junior preview here at the bottom of the hour, starting with Alex Micheletti. We'll get our thoughts and our predictions and all that. It's just still weird that I'm talking about it wearing shorts here under the desk. Like, I feel like I should be in a toque and a good hoodie or something. It's so strange right now to be talking about it like this. But let's kind of get into the Hockey Canada story. Dylan Kaiser throwing some chat in there. He says this: Hockey Canada needs to change, obviously. Starts at the top. Won't stop me from cheering on the young guys in the tournament, that being the World Juniors. And obviously myself and the Hlinka Gretzky was the same way. Can't take their time away from them because of sins of past players. Really good point there, Dylan. But I will say this: some of the news that did jump around today or recently, Michael Brindamore did step down as the Hockey Canada Board of Directors, chair of Board of Directors. And the big thing is that a lot of the federations, multiple federations within Canada, are threatening to withhold their dues to pay Hockey Canada, most notably Hockey Quebec, which, you know, people think, oh, it's not a big deal, but this is something that is important, because while, you know, it's not just players that are paying, you know, the OHF or Hockey Quebec and all these others, it's more or less the federation saying, hey, we're not going to give that money to you because of all this, because of the allegations. And the organization also reported a 9th incident. They were talking today, this came out, that to Sport Canada after officials appeared at a committee. So apparently it's more or less saying that it's not just Hockey Canada's at fault. And I kind of discussed this the last time I hosted here on World Hockey Report, is the fact that Sport Canada is at fault as well because they knew of the incidents. And so it's not good because over the last 4 years, there have been 9 total incidents that have been brought up from Hockey Canada to Sport Canada that have always been pushed under the rug. And we've seen it with, we talked in spades about the settlements and how much money, that government funded money that was used by Hockey Canada to push out these allegations and any possible cases and investigations. It's not good. It's really not good. Avionics says, hi, Dylan. Oh, hello, Avionics. Good to see you there. But it's so frustrating. It's frustrating to see this because you expect better, right? And I, as someone who works in news talk and all that stuff, in news media, I listen to politicians ramble on about nonsense all the time, and I don't expect much out of politicians. Why did all of a sudden I get this naive sense that, the biggest federation in international hockey thought that they were going to be picture perfect and clean? Well, I guess that I was severely mistaken, which is unfortunate. And I think a lot of us kind of feel like we were, kind of tossed to the wolves here and realized that maybe we were made the fools thinking that Hockey Canada was great. And I know, the long story is the Hockey Hall of Fame is not the Hockey Hall of Good Guys. I understand that. That is part of it. I mean, Bobby Hall's in the Hall of Fame, but once again, that is a different story for a different show because unfortunately we can go into the deep depths of that as well. I just hope that this gets solved soon. And what I do hope for, because I try to find the TSN streams of the broadcast. I like seeing that because I love Gord Miller, love Ray Ferraro. What I think should happen, and I've seen this discussed on a couple other programs as well, a couple other shows that I listen to and watch, not talk about it every day and every game, but throughout the tournament. I believe it's TSN, who has been the home of Hockey Canada for 30 years now at this point, give or take, right? It's a long time, ever since CBC lost the rights back in the 90s. I really think that they should take the time 2 or 3 times throughout this tournament to discuss the allegations and the investigation, to update it, whether bring in Rick Westhead or discuss it with the panel. There needs to be more people talking about this, even while this tournament's going on, because I think it would be wrong and forgetful if the group, the panel, TSN itself ignores it and tries to push it off to the side and say, hey, let's just focus on hockey. Because that's been the problem with the hockey culture, the toxic hockey culture over the past 24 months we've talked about. Like, you guys have seen me wearing the shirt, hockey or the Stanley Cup's not everything. Winning the Stanley Cup's not everything. Because we talked about it with Kyle Beach. Now we talk about it with this. I mean, Boko Imama, all this stuff. We try to push it aside just because, let's just focus on winning, focus on the games. Well, that might not be the best way to go about this. Acknowledge the game, promote the game, yes, but also put on display the wrongdoings of Hockey Canada and the hockey culture itself by discussing it as well. You don't need to make it the highlight of the show. I understand that. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. But keep it in the know, keep it at the front of the minds of people that are viewing and watching. I don't trust NHL Network to do that, mainly because they only focus on the American broadcast, of course, the American games. But TSN should have that in their minds of, hey, it is our duty as professionals, as sports journalists, to discuss something that is a sensitive topic, yes, but a topic that's very important to keep acknowledging, keep bringing up so we try to limit this from happening again at this scale. Those are my thoughts on this. I hope they do that. Let's just see. Like Dylan said, I'm going to be cheering for Canada. I'm going to cheer for the boys because those kids did not have anything to do with what happened in 2018, right? They didn't have anything to do with what happened in 2003 or any of the other investigations and settlements that have been gone on for over 30 years. They are only what they can control now. We'll talk about those players later, but we can talk about, though, actually, good question here from Danelle Weaver. What are your thoughts of the Oilers going back to their classic jerseys once again? I never liked the Oilers in the orange jerseys as their home jersey. It was just very weird. Yeah, Danelle, I agree. I do like the Oilers going back to the Blues. I don't like how the fact they made a big deal out of it because it should never have been a big deal anyways. Yeah, the Orange Crush jerseys, I did like them. I did like I like the idea of bringing them back, but having them be their every night jerseys, their home jerseys for every game, I was like, okay, come on. I like going back to the classic blues. However, though, the rumor is going around now because the reverse retros are going to be dropping here sometime before the season, within the next month, obviously. And there's a lot of talk that the oil drip is coming back. The dark blue oil drip they brought in right before the lockout in the early 2000s. I don't know what it was, mainly because maybe it's because that was when I had like 5 different series of NHL video games at that time, and a couple of them, the NHL Hits, ESPN NHL 2K5, and NHL 2003, they all had the oil drips for the Edmonton Oilers, and I loved wearing those. I loved wearing the classic Gretzky blues, yeah, and the orange arms, sure, but those dark blues they were simple, they were kind of unique, and you know what? They were an alternate jersey. It wasn't just a different color scheme. They were mostly different. The blue is obviously the same from the blue they had at the time as their main color, but I'm interested to see, and I agree to know. I do like them going back to their their NHL original blues, not the OG, because that was, once again, the orange with the ones that Jacques Plante used to wear. Those were very odd-looking sweaters, indeed. But speaking of Canada and success on the international stage, Canada wins the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. They beat Sweden in the championship game. And you know what? There was a lot of great performances, a lot of great guys that really stepped up. And, we got to see a lot of players that are draft eligible next year in 2023. And, a couple of guys that stand out. Scott Ratzlaff for Canada had a really good tournament in goal for the Canadians. Defensemen, they had probably 2 of the best in Cameron Allen, as well as Dylan McKinnon. And so obviously the future is bright. Tanner Molendyk is another one that had a good tournament for Canada. Finland wins bronze. They beat, I do have to look back at my notes. I'm sorry. They did beat Cheezy for the bronze. The Americans finished 5th. Talk about a team that allegedly had high hopes going into that tournament. The Americans did not do well at the Hlinka. And I know that Hlinka is always kind of odd because it is always a summer tournament. That's why it's so funny to go right from that into the World Juniors. And some are saying that, well, it's because, there could have been players that, are playing on the World Junior team that could have played in the Gretzky Cup. I don't know. It is a fun showcase before the year with a lot of, U17 kids on there. But, Canada, they just played better. So congratulations to Canada winning the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. Like I said here, in just about 10 minutes time, less than 10 minutes time now, actually, we're going to talk with Alex Micheletti. We will start to get into the World Junior news. And we're also going to talk about something that happened stateside. I don't know if you guys heard about this last week. Mel Pearson out as the University of Michigan head coach. Now, the reason I'm going to talk about it with Alex, because Alex, Minnesota guy, dad Pat Micheletti, or family member Pat Micheletti, played for the University of Minnesota. The Golden Gophers, the Michelettis, have a long lineage of Gophers, and so we know the college game really well. So the story that came out last week was last week, yeah. Really out of the blue, a report came out that Mel Pearson, head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, was being investigated after a tip from former volunteer coach, assistant coach, goaltending consultant, and player, one of the greatest college goaltenders probably in the past 30 years or so, Steve Shields, former NHL goaltender as well with San Jose, Boston, might be another team. I think he played for Anaheim too. He released a tip of saying how Mel Pearson was discriminatory towards genders. Kind of the legal term was retaliatory towards student athletes, and it was never a good sign. And also how there was also abuse of from other team officials, team management members. And I read the 70-page report because I was able to get a handle on it, or 68-page report. And it talks about him just yelling and being unfair, yelling at Christy McNeil, who was one of the members of the sports information department at the University of Michigan, because of scheduling conflict, verbally yelling at her and getting angry at Strauss Mann for bringing up issues that he thought of. And Steve Shields thought because of him addressing Mel about the mistreatment of players and staff at the university, he felt like that's why he was let go from his job after not this season, but last season. There was also words. If you guys remember, Michigan actually got pulled from the 2021 NCAA tournament because of COVID, because a couple players got COVID. And allegedly, according to this report, players were told, hey, you don't have COVID, just say you tested negative, until they showed up sick to their regional, which I think was in North Dakota. That was the same regional that saw the Classic 5 overtime game between North Dakota and Minnesota Duluth. Michigan was supposed to play Duluth in that regional opener, and which just makes it all look stupid. And I'm going to get into this a lot with Alex too. It makes me angry because, first of all, I grew up maize and blue. My uncles went to Michigan. I could have gone to Michigan myself, almost got accepted there. Had I actually pursued a different degree, I could have gone to Michigan. But my family's been going to football games since Bo Schembechler was there, and I know there's the whole thing about Robert Anderson. I'm not going to go into that, the disgraced doctor for the University of Michigan. But it's more or less because I'm a fan since birth. I saw Red Berenson. I saw the fruits of Red Berenson's labor to make Michigan a national powerhouse. The 96 national championship, the 98 national championship. And the great established program that he built and the respect he earned from everyone else around, not just the college hockey world, but hockey in general. And to bring in Mel Pearson thinking, hey, it's going to be Red 2.0 because Mel worked under Red. And the horror stories I heard from people from his time at Michigan Tech up in Houghton to what now is being reported, what happened in Ann Arbor in the past couple of years, it makes me sick. Because this is a guy that was allegedly supposed to be the guy to help carry Michigan. And yes, they were, a great team going in the tournament last year with Matty Beniers and Owen Power and Kent Johnson and Eric Portillo and Ned, all these great players, and only to find out now that he was a jerk, that players didn't even like playing for him. And it trickles down amongst everyone else. And I'm not saying that's the reason why guys like Owen Power left after the year, Kent Johnson left after the year, because Jacob Trouba and Dylan Larkin only played 1 year at Michigan too. Michael Camilleri, Max Pacioretty, they all left before they graduated college. That was back when Red was there. Jack Johnson, same thing. That's nothing special to Mel Pearson. But what is unfortunately special to Mel Pearson is the fact that he looks at his captain of his team, Strauss Mann, and tells him to quiet down. I don't care what you have to say about this matter, about something that you think is wrong and should be changed. And then Strauss Mann forgoes his last season and plays over in Europe. Yes, he got to play for the Americans in the Olympics this past February, but that's neither here nor there. He could have played one more year, but didn't because he didn't want to play for Mel anymore. We'll talk about that a little bit more. Like I said, we're going to be joined by Alex Micheletti on the other side here when we discuss not just my thoughts on the University of Michigan and probably his reactions as well. We'll also get into what is going on with the World Juniors and who is going to win it. We'll hear his thoughts on all that and more when we come back on the other side here on World Hockey Report. Stay tuned, guys.
The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can feel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Travel the world and watch sports with Sports Travel Tours. How about the English Premier League? Get up close at one of the F1's Grand Prix from Monaco to Singapore and beyond. To the NFL packages, the games in London and to any across the U.S. Watch the Oilers and Flames with road trip packages to Vegas and beyond. Or if you're a hockey nut like us, the Spangler Cup is a must-see event. Watch Canada this December in Davos at our favorite championship of the year. For details and more, visit sportstraveltours.com today.
Get ready to win with Billy's Smelling Salts. Billy's Smelling Salts are for gamers, athletes, and competitors alike who want to get in the zone. Us at World Hockey Report teamed up with Billy's, and if you use the promo code WHR when checking out, you'll save yourself some money. The highest quality smelling salts in the game and at the best price point if you use the promo code WHR on Billy's. Billy's Smelling Salts. Get ready to win.
And welcome back, everyone, here to World Hockey Report on this Tuesday, Monday, August the 8th. Gosh, it's so weird when you don't know your days anymore, just because of how things can be at times, but that's okay. We're going to be joined here momentarily by Alex Micheletti here on today's program, talk about World Juniors and more. But I got to tell you guys, everyone's buying tickets online. So if you want to save some money at the next game or concert you go to, sign up for SeatGeek. That's right. Use the promo code WHR when checking out. It's simple on SeatGeek. When you use the promo code WHR, your first purchase, you save $20. $20 American. Don't worry, Canadians. It's a little bit more than that. So with that, folks, I am now glad to be joined by the gentleman who is of the family lineage of the Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. Almost like it's like there's 10,000 Michelettis in the hockey world almost. He is none other than Alex Micheletti. Alex, how you doing today, man? Can we not hear you, Alex? Alex, is your mic off? Oh no, we lost. Don't tell me we lost Alex. This happened with Pat. No, we can't have Alex gone. Oh no, this can't be good. What happened? I believe we should be able to hear him. He'll back out and he'll try again. So we'll wait for Alex momentarily. Not sure why there's any audio issues with Alex. Hey, Alex, how's it going, buddy? Oh no, he's still not working. Alex, are you okay? Did you lose your voice? Is there a horse in your throat? Or to be a gopher? I don't know. Is there gophers in your throats? Is that a thing? That's not really a saying, is it? No. Alex is going to try to figure it out here. We'll just keep him off to the side for now. But like I said, we're going to talk about the World Juniors, which does start tomorrow with a plethora of big games, too. These are going to be some exciting games that we have coming up here. And starting tomorrow, the first game is a 12 o'clock local time, 2 o'clock Eastern time start, Czechia versus Slovakia, the Czechoslovakian battle, if you will. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen here because Czechia is a team that, well, I'm unsure of what's going to happen with them. Same thing with Slovakia. Slovakia more so mainly because they didn't lose their two best players, but their two best players from last year's tournament, or this past winter's tournament, Juraj Slafkovský and Simon Nemec, both not coming in. Let's try this again. Alex Micheletti. Alex, how are you? Oh no, Alex's voice. I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me see it. Is something nope, nothing. I didn't do anything. I promise I didn't do anything, Alex. Oh no. I cannot hear you, friend. Is my sound on? Yep, my sound's on. Unless I could hear the sound from the commercials. So we'll try to have him back out again here. Actually, we'll try to take, you know what we'll do? Here's what we'll do, Alex. We'll take a break. We'll try to do this a different way. We'll get you on here. Don't you worry, because we can't not have you on the show today, Alex, because we're talking World Juniors and more. So we'll take a quick pause. We'll try this again on the other side here on World Hockey Report.
The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can feel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Travel the world and watch sports with Sports Travel Tours. How about the English Premier League? Get up close at one of the F1's Grand Prix from Monaco to Singapore and beyond. To the NFL packages, the games in London and to any across the U.S. Watch the Oilers and Flames with road trip packages to Vegas and beyond. Or if you're a hockey nut like us, the Spangler Cup is a must-see event. Watch Canada this December in Davos at our favorite championship of the year. For details and more, visit sportstraveltours.com today.
Get ready to win with Billy's Smelling Salts. Billy's Smelling Salts are for gamers, athletes, and competitors alike who want to get in the zone. Us at World Hockey Report teamed up with Billy's, and if you use the promo code WHR when checking out, you'll save yourself some money. The highest quality smelling salts in the game and at the best price point if you use the promo code WHR on Billy's. Billy's Smelling Salts. Get ready to win.
And welcome back here, everyone, to World Hockey Report. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I do apologize. Unfortunately, we're firing our intern as we speak, but that is okay. We are now joined on the live line here on today's program. Don't worry. Like I said, guys, we're going to get to this guy because we have to. He is awesome. He is a hockey commentator from the land of 10,000 lakes. It's Alex Micheletti joining us on the live line. Alex, we can hear you now. Hello.
Yes. Glad we're good to go, Tyler. I'm excited to talk about World Juniors. Finally, we're gonna have a full tournament for them. So yeah, super excited.
Well, allegedly, let's all knock on our wooden tables while we can, because with our luck, Alex, it's gonna somehow go haywire. But
exactly. Well, yeah, for the fine folks of Canada, hopefully we can get a full tournament for them up there. So we'll see.
I will say that's the nice thing about this time around is the fact that now it's going to be just at one event, or one venue, similar to what we saw in the bubble in 2021. Even though, yes, no fans, there are going to be fans this time around, but instead of having two different venues in Red Deer and Edmonton, it's going to be a little bit better. But I got to get your thoughts here, Alex, and I talked about it right before the break here. You and I were big college hockey guys. Mm-hmm. What is your thoughts on what's going on over in Ann Arbor? Because I myself, as someone who grew up watching Michigan, both football and hockey, Red Berenson is certainly someone that is idolized in many retrospects and many spectrums of the game itself, not just for being a great player, but also a builder and really the guy that turned the Michigan hockey program around from nothing back in the 80s. Seeing what's going on with Mel Pearson, or what been the report is of what's going on, I've heard stories, but now we see it in the fine print. What is your thoughts on the University of Michigan program?
Yeah, it's tough. It's one of the, we know all their athletes. They're proud Michigan. They're proud to be there, and it's an important school for college hockey, as we both know. And it's sad to see. You never want to see student athletes treated poorly, and it doesn't matter the pressure to win. You have to treat people, correctly. And, it's not only the student athletes, but, the support staff too. And so it's really, really tough to see. And, they made the right decision. But if we didn't have that athletic report, it looked like they were going to maybe give him an extension. So
Right.
it's important to have good journalism out there and get the facts out to everybody. And yeah, I think they made the right decision. And it's tough for them to because I mean they knew about this in May and they waited until August, and so I mean there's no way you can get a coach from the outside. It sounds like the guy they hired really had had no aware of what happened, and so we'll see. They'll it's going to be the hottest job for sure next spring, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, the guy that Alex is talking about is Brandon Naurato. He was one of the assistant coaches over the past few seasons, played for Michigan back in the early 2000s under Red Berenson. So maybe we have another try at Red Berenson 2.0. I don't know. It's hard because it's just, I mentioned it before. It's not just, this isn't like your fourth line dusters, Alex. This is Strauss Mann, a guy that was in line for the Mike Richter Award one year. And we talked about the sports information staff, Chrissy McNeil, who I've worked with in the past and in other lines of work. And, she's always been great to me, and to see how she got treated. It's just, that's why you say good things to good people, but it's just, I don't know. The fact that it took this long, and I wonder if Michigan was going to even mention anything about it until I actually heard it I saw the report from John Bacon, who's a reporter here in Michigan, a sports reporter for many years. And that's how I got the report. Or the actual physical report, the 70-page report. And I just, was it one of these things where once again, Michigan, like we saw with other institutions in Michigan with, poor athletic department management, were they just going to try to sweep it under the rug? And we talk about this with Hockey Canada, the toxic hockey culture, Alex. It's everyone's favorite phrase these days. It's the hot topic, but here we are talking about it again in a different light here with the Maize and Blue.
Yeah, it's very sad. I think it's like the old boys club that we hear about a lot too, where just different generations. Mel's in his in his 60s now, and just things are completely different, and you can't treat people like it might have been in earlier years, and so. Yeah, it's very sad, and it's another example of where another school could have swept things under the rug, but the right thing happened in this situation, thank goodness, and hopefully can start brand new culture and get and where the student athletes don't have to worry about coming to the rink every day, and so yeah, this is hopefully a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about any possible recruits bailing out. Obviously, hockey recruits aren't as big as football or basketball recruits, where it's pretty. It's this guy's leaving Nebraska, go to here. Unfortunately, the Bleacher Report that I get, the Score doesn't really quite comment on that so much. But I know there's a couple guys that are interesting. So I will say it's going to be tough. Epic jumps on and says, if you don't have the right energy or intention behind a hard-nosed style, it just becomes frat boy hazing. That's definitely true indeed. They're epic. Yeah. But let's somehow try to segue the heck out of this thing. By the way, I think we're about one or two more scandals away, Alex, from being our own Jeopardy category with toxic.
No kidding. Culture. Yeah, it's tough. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully with the new generations, we don't see it, but it's very, very disappointing that it keeps happening.
Yeah, and I think Mel is one of the reasons too why the Michigan's no longer in the Great Lakes Invitational, and I'm sure. But my buddies at Ferris State, they don't mind that at all. They're glad to be Western Tech and Michigan State this year is going to be in Grand Rapids, so I'll probably be there for sure. Let's try to segue the heck out of this and talk about some good stuff. Well, potentially good stuff. The World Junior Championships here. All right, and the Americans right now. I don't mean to be at to give you too much flack there, Alex, but according to our poll right now, Canada's got a hefty lead on the Americans in the picks at World Hockey Rpt to be the team that wins gold in Edmonton in this month. But the Americans, though, this is a team that has a very heavy Big Ten presence. There's a lot of these guys that came back from the tournament that was in December and supposed to be in January, but not obviously. No Manny Beniers, obviously. He's going to be in Seattle, but of course, that's kind of going across the board. There's a lot of players missing, but there is so much talent on the Americans this year still. And it's hard to say that anyone really has a shot against them in Group B, even the Swedes.
Yeah, I mean, it's you take a look at Logan Cooley, who was the third overall pick. He's gonna just based on like exhibition lines. He was on a line with Matthew Nyes, which
because he's gonna play for him over there in Minnesota. Duh.
Yeah. So that's gonna be fun pairing the duo to watch together. Little college hockey preview before the season starts and see if they can gel together. And we all know Luke Hughes on the back end, he's just phenomenal. So it's fun that he decided to come back for another season and be on the World Junior team too. So yeah, they have some exciting talent up front. It's going to be a battle versus Canada for sure to try to get gold between those two. Those are definitely two of the heavy favorites.
It's so funny. I look up and down this, and there were some years, Alex, where we saw a lot more junior players, and I'm not talking USHL or anything like that. I'm talking from Canadian junior, and you have Sasha Passagov who's coming in from Guelph, and he had a great year last year. Definitely deserves the shot to be on the American junior team here. But it's a heavy college team. I know there's a little bit of a couple of U.S. national development team guys. The USA Hockey website, Alex, still has Logan Cooley on the national development program. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think he's going back there. I'm just saying, guys. But let's see who jumps in here. Olaf says that, how about Luke Hughes? That's right. Luke Hughes, speaking of the Wolverines, the good side of the Wolverines here. A lot of Michigan players in this. Thomas Bordelot being another. Luke Hughes, the brother of Quinn and Jack Hughes. And also, I almost said Matty Nyes. Like, wait a second. Nope, Minnesota. Mackie Samoskevich is also in there as well. So a lot of Michigan players on this team. But Minnesota, once again, we mentioned Matty Nyes, but one guy that I'm excited to see again, and that's the guy that's been named captain of the American World Junior team here. That's Brock Faber. And you yourself, you're in Minnesota, you see what the Wild is. If there's any guy or any silver lining in the Kevin Fiala deal, it's the fact that Brock Faber is in the Minnesota Wild system, right?
Oh yeah, I mean he can be in your top four for the next decade plus, just like Luke Hughes, and he's more of a shutdown defenseman compared to Luke. But I mean, he can, he can eat all the minutes that he can take. I mean, he was the leading ice skater at the Olympics, and so he's got leadership qualities. Obviously, being captain of Team USA and captain of the Gophers, and that's says a lot about him. And I'm sure he's going to sign right after the Gopher season is done, whether that's in the NCAA tournament or if they win an NCAA title. So yeah, very very exciting, and you couldn't ask for a better person too. So yeah, Wild fans are excited, and it's always cool to see a hometown kid get a chance to play for the team.
Well, because I'm trying to think, because I know your dad Pat played for the North Stars, but how many like in recent memory have played that are Minnesota guys that have played? I mean, obviously Zach Parise being one, but I'm trying to think of like other big ones. I can't. I mean, Alex Stalock was there, but unfortunately, you decided, Cam Talbot's a better goaltender. How'd that work out?
Nick Bukestad, who is from Blaine, Minnesota, played obviously for the Wild, and Eric Hollis from Finland, but he played for the Gophers, and so there hasn't been a ton of Gophers to play for the Wild. Kyle Rao too, so yeah, not very many. It'll be exciting to. He's is looked at as like I mentioned, Matt Dumba has 1 year left on his contract, and we'll see if they try to trade him at the deadline or extend him, and then Brock will just have to compete for a spot, and yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how his career progresses.
Yeah, definitely for sure. A couple other players with Minnesota connections that are on the roster. Dominic James, who is a Chicago draft pick from this past year, he's playing for Duluth. Jack
Mhm.
Peart is out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Is going to St. Cloud. He was also another Minnesota Wild draft pick there from 2 years
Mhm.
ago. Not 2 years ago, 2 drafts ago. 2021 was only a year ago, right, Alex? I'm trying to make sure I got this right here. Wyatt Kaiser, also from the University of Minnesota Duluth. So a lot of land of 10,000 lakes on this team here, but maybe it's just because I may be partial because I broadcasted against this team. When I see Sean Barons, the Colorado draft pick, second round pick from 2021, and Carter Mazer, a draft pick for the Red Wings in 2021 as well, on this team from the University of Denver, I'm thinking to myself, if I am anyone in Group B, just watching those guys play, those guys are elite. Those guys are two really good players, and it's a shame that for some reason they just couldn't put it all together last year for the Pioneers, because that was a really good team, and those two guys were a part of it.
Yeah, it's it's incredible. I went to Mankato, and so obviously I root for the Mavericks, and seeing that team play against Mankato in the championship game was incredible. They move the puck so well. They're just an elite team led by an elite coach and Carl there, and so they play a fun brand of hockey, and it'll be fun to see all these college guys play together. You mentioned Wyatt Kaiser, who I think is right there with Brock as one of the best defensemen in college hockey, and the Blackhawks are lucky to have him in their pipeline with the rebuild they're going through. So and Dominic James is another great player. So it'll be fun team for sure.
Out of all the skaters on the United States roster, only Charlie Stramel, who is an 04 birth year. Oh my gosh, I'm old. He's draft eligible for next year, and free agent Hunter McCowan, who plays for Colorado College. Those are the only two skaters that don't have any NHL draft rights or NHL prospect rights, I should say, except for the goaltending, Alex. And I'll be honest with you, I'm a little confused on the American goaltending. We saw Epic earlier jumping in for the Canadian goaltending. We'll talk about that here in just a moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know about the American goaltending situation. Usually it's Canada. It's like, all right, who's going to be our goaltender? The U.S., long are the days of Thatcher Demko and Spencer Knight and all these other goaltending prospects. I mean, I don't know who's going to be the guy this year. You have Andrew Oak, who, played for Saginaw, and then you have Caden Burko, who is playing with the Lincoln Spirit of the USHL. Who is going to be the goaltender for the U.S.?
Yeah, I know it's going to be tough. That that Caden kid looks, he's going to Colorado College. Everything you hear and see about the kid, looks super athletic. But we'll see. That's tough when you don't have a for sure number one. Especially when you're going to have to eventually play, Canada, who's, such a high scoring squad. So yeah, that's probably the only shaky thing about Team USA is the goaltending right now.
Yeah, I guess if there's a problem, I guess that'd be okay. But then again, once again, watching Canada for all these years, when you have I remember the year Malcolm Subban and Jordan Bennington were the goaltenders in, what was that, UFA Russia when, well, of course, then again, when you have Alex Galchenyuk and Johnny Hockey on your team, you probably should light up the best goaltenders, I guess. I guess that makes sense. No, yes, OFF. No, Devin Levi. No, Devin Levi will not be there. He will be with Buffalo. He's one of the many players that are going to be passing over the World Juniors this year to prepare for training camp coming up later on next month for the NHL. We mentioned, of course, Matty Beniers not being there. It's a weird thing, Alex, when I can say, oh, there's no Matty Beniers, but you're still fine. Because typically if you say, oh, no Matty Beniers, and we'll talk about Canada here in a minute with Shane Wright, it doesn't matter. There's still pretty good players on this American lineup. Where do you think they're going to finish?
Yeah, my medals, I'll go with Canada gold, US silver, and Sweden for the bronze. That's who I have.
That's a couple good picks. Even though, Alex, I don't know if you left your history book at home or if it's one of the many things that American history books leave out. Americans have beaten the crap out of Canada in gold medal games over the last how many years now. So ever since what was that? My gosh, I don't think the U.S. has beaten or Canada's beaten the U.S. since in a gold medal game. I can't think of the last time it happened.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I'm trying to think because there was 04, there was
Right.
2010, there was 17.
The 2010 team was really good. Yeah.
The 20. Oh my gosh, that 2010 game. Well, I'll ask you about that here in a second. But there was 2017. Tyler Parsons of all people, stonewalling Canada, the former London Knight, and then of course last year as well. I can't think of it. I didn't think to look at it because I didn't think we were going to go down this rabbit hole of despair for some of us. But here we are. Well, let's look at, for this year's tournament. Like I said, we'll get to some of the memories here of this tournament here in just a moment. But who else outside of the Americans are you really nervous about? Obviously, Canada. You have Connor Bedard. We mentioned Michigan with Kent Johnson, Columbus Blue Jackets prospect, and it's definitely going to be with the Jackets this season. He returns. I'm curious to see who is in that. It looks like, and Epic made a good point here, who's in that for the Canadians. Sebastian Cossa, the Red Wings draft pick. I like him. I like Brett Brochot, who plays for the London Knights. Garand as well. I think Canada's got 3 capable starters, so we'll see who they go with. But is there a team that you're really nervous about, Alex, especially in Group B as well? Like I said, with Sweden in there, obviously there's Austria and Germany, but who are you watching out for in this tournament?
Yeah, well, obviously being here in Minnesota, we are we're big rooting for Wallstedt. The best goalie prospect in the world. Was drafted by the Wild in the first round a couple of years ago, and so we're expecting big things out of him. And so
first round goaltending draft pick. That's a great idea. Said every Nashville fan ever.
But I mean, from what we've seen of him so far, he looks really good, and he'll be in Iowa this year, and get his feet wet in pro hockey over here in North America. And they have a couple of they have another Wild draft pick on their team, Liam Ogren, who was a first round draft pick. And then they have the Lacramecki kid too, and so they're going to be a dangerous team. So if you have great goaltending, that can get you far. So that's a team that I'm nervous about. And Finland always seems to play well in World Juniors too. They have the Kemmel kid that was drafted by Nashville this year. So I'm excited to watch those 2 teams as well.
Yeah, they got Ville Heinola, who is also a Winnipeg pick. Topi Niemela, who's a Toronto pick that's played over in Karpat. He's expected to come over into North America next couple of years. And, of course, Finland has all of a sudden creeped into that top 4. And, of course, I think one thing we're keep forgetting to mention here, Alex, and it's hard because you look at the team list and it just doesn't click in your head until you realize that there's no Russia this year. And there might not be next year either. So, and that's also why Latvia is in Group A, which is it's a tough spot for them because they have a couple good players, but they are obviously expected to finish at the bottom of that group and maybe the bottom of this tournament. But what do you think? I mean, it's easy to say, but the impact of Russia not being there just kind of opens things up for even a team like Slovakia without Simon Nemec or Juraj Slafkovsky or Czechia. They have David Juracek and Jan Mysak, but they're missing some guys that could have been there that were there in December that aren't here now. It might open them up for a chance to be in the running for a medal.
Yeah, exactly. It's there's so much unknown now too. It allows other kids that probably wouldn't have made it are going to make it now just because guys can't play in it. There's a lot of unknowns. It's a goofy timing to have this in August, and now you'll have fans too, and so it's a whole different ball game from what we had briefly earlier in 2021.
I also forgot to mention that Mason McTavish is still playing for Canada as well, even though he's going to be with the Ducks this year. We're just like, oh, look at all these big names. Like, oh man, they're just.
He should have been in the NHL last season too. It's tough when they they have the 9-game rule and then send somebody back to junior when they look ready. But when you're on these rebuilding teams, they just want to continue the rebuilding process slowly, like Anaheim is doing. But they're building a lot of talent, with Troy Terry and Zegras. So it's an NHL team that's going to be one to watch here in a couple of years when they have the full goal prospects.
Well, I'm sure Mason McTavish is also so angry that he made it to the Memorial Cup. I think that's, so I noticed to people in the South, south of the border, Alex, the Memorial Cup, oh, who cares? It's not important at all. Then again, if you ask some people in Canada, they don't treat it enough, but that's a
Right.
discussion for a different time. But yeah, McTavish will definitely be in the NHL for sure. I don't know if that's why they're waiting to sign Sonny Milano, I guess, in Anaheim, but that's once again a discussion for a different program. Before we let you go, let's kind of take a trip down memory lane here, Alex, because I've been watching this tournament since I remember vaguely the 2003 tournament, which is still the last Russian win in this tournament, which is crazy. Olaf Hub, Olaf Hub says LFG. Can't say what the F stands for. NCAA hockey. Go Wolverines. There you go, Olaf. Of course. Go Wolverines. Yes, we cheer for the players, not the coaching staff at Michigan. Anyways, what are some of your favorite memories of this tournament? Because, for me, I have so many, but, are there some moments in your recollection that stick out to you?
Yeah, the U.S. team with John Carlson, that team was incredible. There's so many so many amazing U.S. players throughout the years. How about for you?
2010, it was so strange because the hype for that game was intense because Canada was trying to go for 6. They were trying to become the first to ever win 6 straight World Junior Championships. They'd won their 5th in 2009. They had the crazy comeback on New Year's Eve against the Americans, then the Jordan Eberle goal against Russia, then beating Sweden to win the gold medal as well. And it was just that 2010 team, it was almost better. Like, if you look at it, the amount of NHLers that were Chris Kreider was on that team for the Americans. That makes me feel old. I know I was a kid watching that game, but I just Chris Kreider was still playing junior hockey when this thing happened. And you mentioned Carlson, and the crazy, that game was insane because all 4 goaltenders played.
Right.
I cannot tell you another time in a championship game of a major tournament, even Holinka or U18s, I've never seen an instance where we have all 4 goaltenders play. Do you remember who started that game for Canada and the U.S.?
Was it Mike Lee?
Yes. Mike Lee for the Americans, and then it was Jake Allen for the Canadians. And that's what's funny is there was Mike Lee and Jack Campbell, Vezina candidate Jack Campbell for the Americans, and Jake Allen and Martin Jones for the Canadians. And it's so crazy. I mean, well, for the longest time, that's what made everyone think, how in the world did Canada lose? They lost to a goaltender that can't even make it on the Texas Stars. But now Jack Campbell's, a $5 million goaltender. So, that kind of panned out. But Mike Lee, who no one heard from after that, couldn't even make it on the Coyotes roster. But especially on the Canadian side too, there was Jordan Eberle, there was Nazem Kadri, there was so much talent.
Amazing. Yeah.
It might go down. And it might, we'll see how it pans out with some of these. Obviously we talk about all the great players that are in this tournament and what we saw in December as well. It might though still be the greatest World Junior Championship game ever. It's hard for me to say no to that.
Yeah, those guys are my birth age, and so that one I'll always remember just because they're the same age as me, and so just it's always fun rooting for people the same age as you are. So yeah, that was one I'll never forget for sure too. And you just look at some of those guys that are still going in the league. Jason Sucker, Tyler Johnson. Derek Stepan, Kyle Palmieri, Jake Gardner. So there's still some that are.
I actually have the roster. Do you want me to name off a lot of the names on? I actually pulled up the box scores. Ready for this?
Yeah.
So Jake Allen, Martin Jones, you mentioned them. For Canada, Marco Scandella, Braden Shen, Jordan Eberle, Alex Pietrangelo, Ryan Ellis, Brandon Kozin, Travis Hamonic, Taylor Hall, Nazem Kadri, Calvin DeHaan, Adam Henrique, Jared Cowan, Jordan Caron. And for the Americans, let's see, Cam Fowler, Derek Stepan, Jerry D'Amigo, who's one of the top scorers in that tournament, and people will forget about that. Zucker, Warsofsky, Carlson, Ryan Bork, Brian Lashoff, Grand Rapids Griffins legend, Chris Kreider, Jeremy Morin, Tyler Johnson, Kyle Palmieri, Jake Gardner, and of course, Jack Campbell in net. Honestly,
Right.
I can't, because don't forget, like in the 90s, not everyone treated the World Juniors, and especially in the 80s as well in Canada. They didn't treat it the same as it is now. That if that's like Edmonton and New York Islanders in the 1983 and 84 Stanley Cup Finals, the amount of talent on those two teams.
It's insane, and they're still playing, and so yeah, it's great to see. That one I'll never forget for sure.
That's why I think everyone's so excited that next year it's going to Halifax, because I know it's been 4 straight years of being in Canada now. I get that. I know there's annoyance with that, but going back to a junior barn, I think Alex will make it a lot better, because that scene in Saskatoon, I don't think has been replicated since.
No, for sure not. That those are the barns that the games have to be played in for sure. It just it makes such a difference for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% too. And I got to ask you this too. This is the last thing, because we'll finish it up because of this talking to two Americans talking here, even though one's more favorable to junior barns.
Yeah.
Where do you think, if when it goes back to the United States, where do you think the World Junior should go? Because I mean, listen, they tried the college route with Grand Forks in 2005, and it was great because you got a lot of the from the Great Plains of Canada and Alberta and Saskatoon and Saskatchewan coming down. But it seems like Buffalo's always been the hot spot because it's right there next to Canada. I mean, I don't know. I want to see something different if it comes back to the U.S. Where do you think it would go, and that it would work and pay off for not just for a good game, for a good tournament, but also for a great spectacle for fans?
Yeah, it'd be so much fun to have it here in Minnesota. I mean, we have the best facilities. A place like Boston. Boston just had the Frozen Four, and that was an amazing atmosphere. I think the Boston Garden would be a great place. They have the Bean Pot there. I think it would be a lot of fun to have it in Boston, with such a great sports town as we both know. Those are a couple places that I think it would work in for sure.
Yeah, I mean, because you look at it, because you have TD Guard, and then you have Northeastern right there. That could be your second site. And in Minnesota, you have the XL Energy Center, where, oh, by the way, you only sell out high school hockey games there. No big deal. And of course, then you got right across the way, you got 3M Arena, Mariucci Arena, excuse me. You got right there.
Yeah.
But so what you're saying is, though, it's going to come to Detroit. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love that new barn that the Red Wings have. It's they did a great job with Little Caesars. That'd be another great spot, and place that has a lot of great hockey and junior hockey near it. And so that'd be another excellent spot. You gotta go to a modern arena. And so that would definitely be a spot just like the X.
Yeah, and of course you're right next to Canada too, and also USA Hockey. They only own arena, like they own their own barn, like 45 minutes away, so that could be your second site as well. Before we try to go too far into us trying to figure out where the World Junior should be at next, we should probably wrap this up here with Alex Micheletti. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time. I know we went over than we kind of predicted for, and we were able to get to the technical difficulties and everything, but we got through it.
Yeah.
Be sure to follow him, guys, at Alex Micheletti there on Twitter. I'm throwing it up here on the screen for you. If you are watching, of course, whether you're watching on Hockey Podcast Network or on at World Hockey RPT, our social media channels. If you're listening, it's at Alex Micheletti. If you don't know how to spell it, literally look at the description on the video or podcast. It's right there. We spell it correctly. We grammar checked it and all that stuff. Alex, man, thank you very much for taking the time once again, man, and we'll chat soon. And enjoy the World Juniors, man.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Tyler, for having me on. You have a good one. You take care.
Absolutely. Alex Micheletti, ladies and gentlemen, from Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. Fun guy to talk to as well. Olaf Hub saying Little Caesars Arena is awesome. I agree with you there, Olaf. I do like that a lot. I like that barn. I've been there multiple times. Got to work there a couple times as well. Press boxes are a little cold in January because the vents decide to blow out right into the top press row there. So that's a little uncomfortable. But other than that, though, very nice barn. Good food rated and connected to it and everything. But we're going to take a pause here, guys. On the other side, I'm going to make my picks. I'm going to tell you what I think about this tournament. And we'll kind of go into a little bit deeper about each of the teams as well that we didn't get to with Alex Micheletti right after this on World Hockey Report.
The The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer. With tons of ways to bet on all your favorite sports, you can feel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. Plus, right now, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving new customers a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's right, make your first bet up to $1,000, and if it doesn't win, you'll get another shot to cash in. You can throw down on all the major action for baseball, golf, MMA, and more. Plus, with same-game parlays, spreads, money lines, over-unders, and props, your betting options feel endless. Best of all, DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. You can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Travel the world and watch sports with Sports Travel Tours. How about the English Premier League? Get up close at one of the F1's Grand Prix from Monaco to Singapore and beyond. To the NFL packages, the games in London, and to any across the U.S. Watch the Oilers and Flames with road trip packages to Vegas and beyond. Or if you're a hockey nut like us, the Spangler Cup is a must-see event. Watch Canada this December in Davos at our favorite championship of the year. For details and more, visit sportstraveltours.com today.
Get ready to win with Billy's Smelling Salts. Billy's Smelling Salts are for gamers, athletes, and competitors alike who want to get in the zone. Us at World Hockey Report teamed up with Billy's, and if you use the promo code WHR when checking out, you'll save yourself some money. The highest quality smelling salts in the game and at the best price point if you use the promo code WHR on Billy's. Billy's Smelling Salts. Get ready to win.
And welcome back here, everyone, to World Hockey Report here today, this August 8th, where we're making our way through magically somehow. Struggling with some technical difficulties when we were trying to get a video chat with Alex Micheletti, but it's okay. We had a great chat with him. And if you just missed it, what do you do? No, it's okay. Don't worry. On demand later at the Hockey Podcast Network, or you can just come back to us at World Hockey RPT later on and watch it on demand as well. Or if you don't feel like watching us struggle with video chats, you can just listen to us as well wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks to the guys over at World Hockey Report and Hockey Podcast Network to help get us set up there. So now let us get into the rest of the teams. We'll talk a little bit more of the players here in a second, but I got to remind you guys, travel is back, so why not book a trip to your dream sports event with Sports Travel Tours? They have NHL trips, Spangler Cup, NFL, F1, and the Premier League packages, and much more at sportstraveltours.com. So we won't talk about the Americans and the Canadians because I don't think we need to go any more than that. I mean, Canada is stacked. Owen Zellweger, Connor Bedard, Mason McTavish, Kent Johnson, NHLers up the wazoo. I mean, this Canadian team is expected to be one of the, if not the teams to win the gold medal this year. We'll just do a quick look at the count. It's still 51.5% votes for the Canadians and 36.9% for the Americans to win. Finland coming in third at 9.2%. I'd like to think that the problem is, here's why we'll start off with Sweden. Here's why I think Sweden is not going to win a medal. They just find ways to fail, right? And I hate to be a negative Nancy because I do think Jesper Wallstedt is one of the top goaltenders coming into this tournament. Sweden is still a hotbed for goaltenders. I know the Finns have kind of grabbed that a little bit themselves, but I really think Sweden has they have a couple good goaltenders on this team, but more in particular, Jesper Wallstedt. I think he's going to have to really step up. Simon Edvinsson as well. I don't know what it is with him. He's a high-end player, great player over in Sweden in the Swedish Elite League with is it Frölunda? I can't remember if it's Frölunda or not. But he's a great club player over there. But for some reason, where's Tre Corner? And it doesn't work out for him. I don't know if something happens when he puts on the jersey, if he just he's not as great as a national player as he is, for a club team or, in the lower junior ranks. But I think this is for him a great opportunity for a coming out party. But obviously the Red Wings think highly of him. They think he has a lot of potential, and he does 100%. But, this is a country that has won a lot of silver medals. They've won 11, but their last gold medal came, we're talking 10 years ago. And their only other one before that was back in 1981. So I'm really intrigued to see how Sweden does. I think they can get into the bronze medal game. I know they lost to Finland last year in the quarterfinals in 2021, but you have to look at the fact that was the pure luck of the draw because Sweden lost a game in the round robin play for the first time in almost forever. So we'll see how it goes this time around. The Swiss, I think they should be able to squeak in to the top 4 in Group B. There's no Liam Bissell, excuse me, because he is going to be going to training camp. And I think he's still coming back from an injury as well. But I really think that certainly doesn't help their cause on the back end. There's obviously a lot of great talent on this team, though, still. Brian Zanetti being one, former Peterborough Pete, Simon Knack, who plays for the Portland Winterhawks, Joel Henry, and Attilo Biasca, both guys that have international team experience, really caught my eyes as well when I saw them in the under 18s a couple years ago. Kevin Pasha is their goaltender. He's a guy that gets a lot of work. He's used to it, and he's going to have to come up with some big saves as well. Germany is really going to be a real big question mark because this is the first time in a couple of years where they haven't really had a top-end player to stand out for them. No Mo Seider, no... oh my gosh, why am I blanking on him? What the heck just happened there? Tim Stützle. Holy cow, I just forget who Tim Stützle is. I was about to get fought from everyone in Ottawa, all 16,000 fans there. But, their goaltender's going to have to get some work in. I mean, Luka Musenberger, who is an Edmonton Oilers pick, will have to really step up if they want a chance. But, they honestly might be in a little bit of trouble because of the fact that, I know Austria doesn't have Marco Kasper this year, but they have Sebastian Renichet, and a guy that stops 173 of 194 shots in a tournament. I'm sorry. If that guy can steal you one game, because this is how this kind of tournament is, you win one game in group play, you have a shot to make it to the quarterfinals. So if it's going to come down to Germany and Austria, I think, for that 4th spot coming out of Group B, but Austria is certainly going to be sitting there tough as well. I mean, they have some younger players as well coming into the fold. They have, Luca Orr, who, plays pretty well in the European League for Red Bull, and there's Senna Peters with Halifax. But yeah, it's going to come down to Renichet if Austria has any chance of picking up points in the group play. Obviously, the Americans as well being the big focus coming out of Group B and expected to finish top of the group as well. Group A, we talked about Canada. We talked about how good they're going to be. Finland's certainly going to be number 2. And look at this team. Brad Lambert with Winnipeg, Aatu Räty, Anton Lindell, who's another youngster that's going to come up here, Ville Heinola. This is a country that, they won gold last year in the Olympics. They fared pretty well, I'd say, in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup just moments ago. This is a country that keeps producing great players, and no different this year. They'll certainly be challenging Canada for the top spot in the group, and I think they honestly have the team to do it. It's going to be crazy, and whoever gets the top spot here, they're going to have to really still work their way to the gold medal game. But they're going to put them in a better spot if they finish number 1. I want to say Czechia's got a good shot here to finish 3rd, mainly because of the 2 other teams we're going to talk about in a minute. They do have David Jiricek, who just got drafted 6th overall, which is big for them because it's good to see the Blue Jackets letting their players go in here. And that's why it's shocking Simon Edvinson's going to be there. I was not expecting that, given how Yzerman is seemingly one of the GMs that doesn't want certain guys to play in these tournaments. But long story short, Jiricek's going to be there. We mentioned Jan Mysak, who played for the Hamilton Bulldogs, is a Montreal draft pick. Yuri Kulich, who is a Buffalo Sabres draft pick. I think that, Czechia always has a way to steal a game here or there, right? Then to get an upset here. And this is not just in the World Junior level either. Go back to 1998. Now, granted, yes, they had Dominik Hasek, but even in any international tournament, Czechia always finds a way to be a little sneaky and pull off one upset against one of the big dogs. last year didn't quite work out. They lost to Canada in the quarterfinals, but watch out for them this year. It's not going to be an easy path for them to get to third or to get, maybe beyond the quarterfinals. But, if they get a good matchup coming out of whoever is in Group B, which obviously we're talking about here could be Sweden, watch out. That could be a very entertaining game with a surprising result. Slovakia, Slovakia is just, it's a bummer for Slovakia because I really think they could have been in the medal conversation in December and January if the tournament was not postponed due to COVID. Because, boy, Juraj Slavkovsky, Simon Nemec, it's going to be crazy. Epic says Yzerman, I feel weighs these tournaments heavily. That's right, weighs. Sorry, you had an extra T there. You got me confused there, Epic. But I get your point. I agree with you. That's a good point because it really shows how these younger players are maturing. Hence why I mentioned Sebastian Kosa, Simon Edmondson, Emil Viro, I think is going to be on Team Finland, is expected to be at least. So certainly watch out for those Red Wing prospects indeed. But Slovakia, though, they're mentioning them that they're missing a lot of their top guys. Adam Sikora is a Rangers pick. I think he'll have to be big as well. But it's going to come down to the goaltending on any team in these tournaments that might be a little shallow up front, maybe not experienced. It comes down to the goaltending. And Simon Latkoczy is a guy I kind of talked about a lot going into December of last year, going into the tournament. And I thought, man, he has the potential. He's played for the Omaha Lancers in USHL, going to Nebraska, Omaha this coming fall. I believe that if he can play well, I don't think Slovakia doesn't not make it just because, Latvia is really going to be kind of in over their heads right now. But if he can play a good game, yes, if we go with the projections, Slovakia probably finishes fourth, I'm going to say. So they'll probably end up getting the Americans. So that's not going to be easy. But, maybe they jump into third and get Sweden. And, who knows with what's going to happen. If you get a hot goaltender at the right time, guy makes a few big saves, it's going to be interesting to see what Slovakia can do. But no question about it, not having Nemec on the blue line and not having Slavkovsky, who was the MVP of the Olympic tournament, not on your roster, certainly hurts Slovakia. Because they honestly, with those two guys in, I know it's only two players, but those guys could have helped Slovakia jump in and maybe the number 2 spot in this group. Challenge Canada, challenge Finland with those two guys. Epic jumps back with the Red Wings talk. He thinks, I think Edmondson's chances to make the big club will partly be based on his performance at this tournament. I agree with you. I just have never seen Simon Edmondson be a key player in an international tournament representing Sweden. So that's why I think for him, this is a good point by Epic making here. If he does well, yeah, I think he gets a real honest look when they have camp next month up in Traverse City, which is a beautiful spot. Might head up there for the camp. Why not? It's only a couple hours. Go play some more golf in nice weather. Why not? It'll still be September, so the leaves won't be totally changing colors there up in Traverse City yet, but fall time in Michigan. It's a beautiful time to be hanging around. Time for the picks. All right. Well, see, I'll be honest. When I voted today at World Hockey Rpt, I did vote Canada to win. So I don't want to repeat Alex Micheletti, but I'm going to say Canada over the United States. I think it happens. It's going to happen this time. There'll be fans there cheering on Canada. They're going to ride that wave of the red and white, even though there's going to be a Hockey Canada emblem on the sweater. That's neither here nor there. But, man, the bronze medal. How can you... I want to say Sweden gets there this year because I think they'll get the luck of the draw. They'll finish second, and then whoever comes out of Group A and third, I don't think will match up well with Sweden. So I do think they get to the semifinals. So I'm thinking, yeah, it might be Finland, Sweden. And yeah, Finland third, because I'll say Finland third, au contraire to Alex, because I think Finland's just a little bit deeper. I believe, and they've started to fare well at these tournaments more often than Sweden has. It seems like Sweden, I think if they get the right group of guys involved, they still come up a little short. So yeah, I'll go Finland bronze over Sweden and Canada for the gold over the Americans, who will take silver. Those are my picks for the World Junior Hockey Championships, which start tomorrow. Like we said, games start tomorrow at noon local time in Edmonton, 2 o'clock Eastern time. Czechia versus Slovakia. That's the first game in Group A. Also, then Latvia, Finland follows it up. Americans versus Germany. That is the nightcap at 8 o'clock local time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. And then day 2 of actions, we see more of the more games, just more a couple of back-to-backs for some teams. Sweden and Switzerland, Latvia and Canada, the host nation, getting things underway against the team that is unfortunately expected to finish last, and Germany and Austria. That game, like I said, might determine who gets fourth. Who is texting me at this hour? I'm trying to wrap it up here, but I'm getting bombarded with messages and whatnot. I'm just, it's Peyton. it's good old guy Peyton Turnage. Unfortunately, a little late there, Peyton. We're going to sign off here in a few minutes. We'll talk to him later on. We were going to try to have him on the show today. Unfortunately, Peyton, unlike me, has a big boy job where he gets paid a little bit more. So he kind of has to, try to have his schedule work out. But it's okay. It's okay. I don't blame Peyton for anything. He'll be all right. We'll get him on maybe for our post wrap-up show or our post-tournament show. Next week, we will be having Cody Jansen on. He will be giving an update on the World Junior Tournament and a couple other interviews with that as well. Like I said, that's coming up next week as well, just to kind of give you guys what's going on. And then, like I said, this is a crazy month, right? Not just this, but then, the women's worlds are coming up as well. There's so much hockey in August. I love it. I love it. It's kind of odd talking about hockey in August, but then again, we did the women's worlds last year in August. So why not double down, do it again? I like the idea of keeping hockey going throughout the summer. I'm having some fun with it. Why not? Let's get this. Olaf Hub saying, all right, we got hockey. Thanks, dudes. Yes, thank you very much for jumping in the chat. And thank you to all of you who are jumping in the chat today. Be sure to follow us once again, guys, at World Hockey RPT. You guys are great. You guys are awesome for jumping the show today. And thank you for listening and watching this episode of World Hockey Report. We'll be back, like I said, next week from the Pro Rock Studios. We'll be talking. Cody Jansen will be talking about what's going on. I'll be watching the games. I hope you will be as well. I know, obviously, there's a little bit of a heavy cloud hanging over everything. But you know what? Cheer for who you want, because you know what? It's still a great time. Some of the best young players in the world going at it. Be sure, like I said, if you couldn't catch all of our interview today with Alex Micheletti, be sure to jump on the on-demand at the Hockey Podcast Network or at World Hockey RPT. And make sure, if you want just to listen, go ahead, check us out at your favorite podcatcher, World Hockey Report. Just search us, guys. You have a phone, just search World Hockey Report. Right there. It's easy stuff. We'll see you guys next time on World Hockey Report. I'm the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, saying so long and enjoy the World Juniors, guys.